This next section focuses on the social pillar of sustainability. While environmental topics often get more visibility, social factors are just as critical because they deal directly with people, not processes. The social pillar looks at how companies treat workers, protect human rights, manage health and safety, and uphold fair and dignified working conditions, both within their own operations and across their value chains. In practice, this pillar sits at the intersection of sustainability alongside other traditional business functions, ethics, risk management, compliance. This is because the social pillar of sustainability, or rather lack thereof, usually carries more reputational risks. How a company manages its people has direct implications for productivity, reputation, legal exposure, and trust. Now we move into the social pillar, starting with working conditions and labor rights practices. Labor rights define the basic social standards that protect workers' dignity, safety, and fair participation in economic life. For companies, this is not just about legal compliance. It is about operating ethically, managing risk effectively, and building long-term value. When labor rights are respected, businesses create stable, productive environments. When they are ignored, risks escalate quickly. In business terms, labor rights issues can appear in multiple ways. Unsafe working conditions, excessive hours, unfair wages, discrimination, or restrictions on freedom of association all directly affect workers and can significantly damage company reputation and performance. Freedom of association and collective bargaining are fundamental rights. They allow workers to organize, join unions, and negotiate collectively, which supports fair working conditions and constructive employer-employee dialogue. Labor risks often sit upstream in the value chain, particularly among suppliers, contractors, and outsourced operations, where visibility and direct control are more limited. Poor working conditions also create direct business risk. They increase turnover and absenteeism, disrupt operations, raise legal exposure, and undermine employee trust and productivity. For this reason, labor rights are a material issue for companies across sectors and a critical area of focus within the social pillar of sustainability. At an operational level, social sustainability measures relating to good labor rights practices are not managed through one-off actions or informal decisions. They are managed through structured, repeatable processes that are embedded into everyday operations. This includes training and awareness programs that ensure both employees and management understand labor rights, acceptable workplace conduct, and how grievance mechanisms work in practice. Companies also conduct hotspot analysis and risk mapping to identify high-risk geographies, operations, or suppliers where labor violations are more likely to occur. This allows resources and controls to be focused where the risk is highest. Audits and assessments play a key role. These can include internal audits as well as independent third-party assessments to verify compliance with labor standards and identify gaps. Grievance mechanisms are another core control. Workers must have access to confidential, trusted channels to raise concerns, supported by clear investigation and remediation procedures. Finally, forced labor and child labor prevention requires formal due diligence processes, align with international labor standards. These processes aim to identify, prevent, and remediate risks across the full value chain, not just within direct operations. For sustainability professionals, this topic sits at the intersection of human rights, governance, and risk management, and provides essential context for assessing policies, controls, metrics, and remediation practices in a credible and structured way. Continuing within the social pillar, we now focus on workforce health and safety practices. Workforce health and safety refers to the systems, policies, and daily practices that protect employees from workplace injuries, occupational diseases, and health-related risks. Workforce health and safety refers to how an organization systematically protects people from harm at work. It covers physical safety, occupational health, and psychosocial well-being across daily operations. In business terms, health and safety is not only about compliance. It directly affects operational continuity and productivity. Poor health and safety practices lead to incidents, downtime, regulatory exposure, and reputational damage. From a sustainability perspective, health and safety risks arise when work activities expose people to physical hazards, chemicals, ergonomic strain, or psychosocial stress. These risks can result in injuries, occupational illnesses, or long-term health impacts if they are not identified and managed early. Importantly, these risks do not stop with direct employees. Contractors, temporary workers, and suppliers are often exposed to the same or higher risks, especially in outsourced or high-risk activities. This makes workforce health and safety a core social risk area across the value chain, not just within company walls. In practice, effective workforce health and safety also relies on structured systems, not isolated actions. Companies operationalize health and safety through repeatable processes that identify risks, control hazards, and monitor performance. This typically includes formal risk assessments for tasks and workplaces, clear safety procedures, and defined roles and responsibilities. Training is critical, ensuring that employees and contractors understand hazards, safe working practices, and emergency response protocols. Operational health and safety also involves incident reporting systems, investigations, and corrective actions, allowing organizations to learn from near misses and prevent recurrence. Monitoring tools such as safety inspections, audits, and performance indicators help track whether controls are working as intended. When these processes are embedded into daily operations, health and safety moves beyond compliance. It becomes a preventive system that protects people and reduces legal, financial, and reputational risk over the long term. Next, we turn to diversity, equity, and inclusion practices, often referred to as DEI. DEI defines how organizations ensure fair treatment, equal access to opportunities, and an inclusive workplace culture for all employees, regardless of background, identity, gender, ethnicity, age, or other characteristics. At its core, DEI is about building systems that allow people to contribute fully and thrive without barriers. In practice, DEI goes beyond representation. It looks at how decisions are made across hiring, promotion, pay, performance management, and leadership selection. Without intentional systems, bias and unequal treatment can emerge, even in organizations with good intentions. From a business perspective, DEI matters because gaps in representation, especially at leadership level, create governance and reputational risks. Weak grievance or enforcement mechanisms increase exposure to legal disputes, employee disengagement, and turnover. These risks do not stop at the company boundary. They often extend into the value chain through suppliers, contractors, and outsourced functions. This is why organizations formalize DEI through clear strategies or policies that define commitments to non-discrimination, equity, and inclusion. These are supported by grievance and escalation mechanisms that allow concerns to be raised safely and addressed credibly. Common initiatives in Montreal include structured DEI training, diversity audits, employee resource groups, and partnerships with external DEI organizations to strengthen accountability and impact. We now move to different and less popular important social action field, product quality and safety. Product quality and safety define how a company ensures that its products are safe, reliable, and compliant throughout their entire life cycle. This includes design, sourcing, manufacturing, distribution, and post-sale use. Strong quality and safety practices protect consumer health, reduce recall and liability risks, and reinforce brand trust and long-term customer loyalty. From a risk perspective, several areas require close attention. Product defects, contamination, or design flaws can create serious health and safety risks. Non-compliance with regulatory or industry standards can lead to fines, recalls, and reputational damage. Weak supplier quality controls can compromise upstream inputs, which then affect final product safety. In addition, inadequate recall procedures or poor complaint handling can escalate small issues into major crises. To manage these risks, companies implement structured programs and operational controls. These include rigorous product testing, certification processes, and regular quality inspections. Supplier quality assurance and audit programs ensure upstream compliance and consistency. Employee training Tightening on quality standards and regulatory requirements is essential to embed accountability at every operational level. Clear recall procedures and safety alert protocols ensure rapid response if issues arise. Finally, structured customer feedback systems and complaint management processes allow companies to identify patterns, implement corrective actions, and continuously improve product performance. In summary, product quality and safety are not only operational requirements, they are core social responsibilities that protect consumer safety and well-being. Cybersecurity could be seen as a form of prod-cut safety, but is critical enough to warrant its own category as a social and operational issue for modern businesses, particularly those that are data-intensive or digitally connected. Cyber risks such as data breaches, ransomware attacks, and system outages can directly disrupt operations, expose confidential or personal information, and create significant financial and legal liabilities. These incidents are not just technical failures, they often translate into lost revenue, regulatory penalties, and long-term damage to trust with customers, employees, and partners. Weak cybersecurity governance increases regulatory, reputational, and operational risk. This is especially true as organizations rely more heavily on digital systems, cloud infrastructure, and interconnected platforms. In many cases, cybersecurity incidents are not driven by sophisticated attacks alone. Human error, limited awareness, and insufficient training remain some of the most common contributors to breaches across organizations. Cyber risks also extend beyond the company itself. They frequently sit within the value chain through suppliers, service providers, and third-party systems that have access to data or critical infrastructure. This makes cybersecurity a shared responsibility rather than an isolated IT issue. To manage these risks, organizations establish formal cybersecurity strategies or policies that clearly define responsibilities, controls, and response mechanisms to protect digital infrastructure and data. Effective cybersecurity management includes incident detection, response planning, vulnerability management, and continuous monitoring. Common practices include regular employee cybersecurity training, defined incident response protocols, routine system audits, compliance with data protection and privacy standards, and board-level oversight of cyber risk. Together, these measures help ensure cybersecurity is embedded into governance and operations rather than treated as a reactive or purely technical concern. As we conclude the social pillar, it is important to recognize that the topics covered here are not exhaustive. In practice, you may come across additional social action fields that are labeled, grouped, or framed differently depending on the organization, sector, or reporting framework. Topics such as collective bargaining, employee representation, living wages, migrant worker protections, community relations, customer responsibility, or data privacy are often presented as standalone focus areas. However, in most cases, they can be categorized within or closely linked to the core social themes already discussed. For example, collective bargaining and freedom of association typically fall under working conditions and labor rights. Living wage discussions are closely tied to fair remuneration and workforce well-being. Community impacts and stakeholder engagement often intersect with labor practices, health and safety, or product responsibility. Data privacy and customer protection may sit at the intersection of social factors, governance, and cybersecurity. The key point is that social sustainability is not about memorizing long lists of topics. It is about understanding how social risks and impacts manifest across people, operations, and value chains, and how they can be systematically managed through policies, processes, controls, and accountability. By using these core social categories as an organizing structure, sustainability professionals can assess, prioritize, and manage social issues in a consistent, credible, and adaptable way, even as terminology and expectations continue to evolve.